Hello dear learners, welcome to the channel Pen and Paper Maths. Yes, this is a new name we have recently given to the channel, and today we shall be doing the topic of squares and square roots. Now before we go on to give generalizations, what we are going to do is we are going to observe certain patterns over here. So you observe here. So if you notice over here, 1 square is 1, 2 square is 4, 3 square is 9, 4 square is 16, 5 square is 25. If you see over here, the units digit in each case is either 1, 4, 5, 6 or a 0. You see over here 1, 4, 5, 6, 9 or a 0. And that is what we've written over here, that the interesting observation is the units digit of a perfect square. What you see in column 2 is 0, 1, 4, 5, 6, 9. But does that mean that any number having units digit as 0, 1, 4, 5, 6, 9, would it be a perfect square? Let's check it out. So is 21 a perfect square? No, it is not. Is 26 a perfect square? No, it is not. So, although for perfect squares, yes, the units digit may be 0, 1, 4, 9, 5, 6, but the reverse is not always true. Also, if you notice, 1 is an odd number, so square of an odd number is odd. 3 is an odd number, square of an odd number is odd. 5 is an odd number, square of 5 is 25, which is again an odd number. Hence, the square of odd numbers is always odd. Whereas, if you see 2 square is 4, so even number square is even number, even numbered square is even number. Hence, the square of even numbers is always even. Let us make a similar observation regarding the square of natural numbers. So if you have natural numbers ending with 0. So if I take 10 square, I notice that I get the answer ending with double zeros. 20 square is 400. Again, the end zeros are doubled. 30 square. So there is a single zero here. Here it becomes a double zero. So the number of zeros gets doubled. 2 zeros here. So that means I'm talking about 100 squares. So if you notice over here, there are 4 zeros. 1000 square, 6 zeros over here. So what is happening is every time the number of zeros is getting doubled. Doubled means it's a multiple of 2. In other words, whenever you square a natural number ending in 0, the number of zeros gets doubled. You will always have an even number of zeros in the square of a natural number ending in 0. And that is what we have written over here. The number of zeros is getting doubled when you square it, right? So that means if the number of zeros is odd, so if you see over here, let's say we take the example, I give you this number. So this has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 zeros. So is it a perfect square? Now remember that just having 8 zeros is no criteria for it being a perfect square. Yes, a perfect square. So the number of zeros in a perfect square would be doubled. But if the number of zeros is an even number, does not necessarily mean it will be a perfect square. Although this number would be a perfect square. But if I take the example of 300, so we have 3 with 4 zeros in front of it. Is it a perfect square? No, not necessarily. So we are going to simplify, or we are going to write it in short what we have learned so far. So that means if a number ends with 0, 1, 4, 5, 6 or 9. Yes, I forgot the 6 over here. So please remember 6 or 9 in the units place. Then it may be a perfect square. So for example, we saw 100, 4, 25, 64. These are all perfect squares. But it's not a compulsory condition and it may not be a perfect square. So for example, 39 ends in 9, but it's not a perfect square. 65 ends in 5, but it's not a perfect square. Also, if a number has even number of zeros at the end, it may be a perfect square, it may not be a perfect square. Hope you are enjoying this learning. Be with me when I take up the triangular numbers.